Hey everyone, good day and welcome to today's focus group webinar on CommandCenter 2.0. I'm Sushmita, I'm from the Zoho community team and I'm joined today by Abhilash and Priyadarshini, our product managers for CommandCenter and Zoho CRM's automation and process management. So in today's webinar, we'll discuss CommandCenter in depth. We'll explain its functionalities and its relevance to different types of business challenges. Abhi will then deep dive into how you can set up CommandCenter at the grassroots level for your processes. So CommandCenter and its solutions help with customer journey tracking and automation. So before we get into the what of CommandCenter and how to set it up and what specific automation features it gives beyond everything else that CRM already provides, let's first understand what customer journeys are, because this is the core of CommandCenter. And let's measure what kind of weightage customer journeys carries for your business. So what is a customer journey? This is an example of a map that is again at the same time the view that you get within CommandCenter that can be correlated with the customer journey. A customer journey is essentially a sequence of interactions and touch points that a potential customer of yours or a customer of yours goes through while discovering, buying, and using your product or service. It connects every single team within your organization, such as marketing, sales, onboarding, support, and customer success, and perhaps others, within one single flow. Like this map, think of how different types of customers move through different stages, where they branch off, how long they take between these stages, and what actions are done to move them forward. Now, all of this reinforces and perfects what the business is doing right. It also pinpoints where it's falling short and provides data through this map for real-time course correction. This would mean deriving the most relevant playbook for your users, based on your customer type, the consequent steps that they take, and that also gives us scope to figure out what interactions within this entire map can be automated through the system itself. To better understand this, let's take the example of a business that sells software as a service. For example, like our very own Zoho CRM software. A customer journey map for such a business would show every single detail, such as records moving through the different stages of awareness, evaluation, onboarding, adoption, and retention. It will show what interactions happen through which channels specifically and what the business should do at every single step. And is this worth setting up in the first place, this customer journey map? So how does it impact the business, or what kind of value does it give you? Before we get into that, let's first remember that, again, the journey map is only one part of CommandCenter. When you plot the journey map, this entire journey map, you also have the option to automate the communication that goes to your customers at every single step. You also get to plot the branches, that is the sequential follow-ups, and also automate the creation of activities for your users wherever it's necessary throughout this process. And because CommandCenter covers everything from start to finish, across teams and different applications, you get complete visibility without having to chase multiple charts. Now back to business value. In our example of a SaaS business that we took, let's say we have multiple lead sources, including AdWords and free trials. So within the customer journey, ideally, we should be able to find insights like, the number of leads that signed up but dropped off during onboarding stages and what action was being done. You might also find stats that indicate the customers, like, for example, the customers that attended the onboarding webinar by a particular user in your organization are twice as likely to extend their subscription beyond the trial. You might also find other details such as users who didn't engage within the first week churned within the month. The business value that we would see from insights like this are higher conversions. You can automate timely follow-ups or success calls right when the leads get stuck or start losing interest. These are things that you'll be able to find in the map. Faster record movement. Because the map shows you how, the map shows you what actions drive progress and how records move faster through the journey. This would mean you would be your users would be spending much lesser time in sales or onboarding. So you'll be able to spot where your customers drop off, and it lets you re-engage with them before they churn. And because, again, Command Center is end-to-end, every team stays on the same page, working hand in hand and around specifically what is best for the customer, because it's right there in the customer journey map. In our example that we'll take today, this is a part of the entire customer journey map setup through Command Center. When Abhi goes through the setup, he'll show you the entire thing, but this is what I could fit into the slide. Now, Command Center's functionalities of automation, journey tracking, and Pathfinder are all built around this customer journey map. To understand Command Center as a journey automation tool, imagine a map like this of your entire customer process. And we are not talking a high-level process that covers awareness, consideration, onboarding, adoption, and everything. I mean, something like this with every single stage that is defined, that the customer record passes through from start to end. Command Center's Journey Builder helps us build this in the setup to cover the entire customer journey process. And you'll be able to take it from point A to point Z. Like, for example, in our scenario, perhaps all the way from the record being created in the leads module all the way till their endpoint, which is probably either in the renewals module or the referrals module. Let's take the example of a qualified lead entering the Command Center's Journey Builder in its onboarding stage. With Journey Builder, what we'd be able to automate here are different actions for that particular record. Let's say, as soon as it comes to onboarding, we would want an instant welcome email with setup instructions to go out. We would also want an email that should go out 2 days after it reaches this stage with, feature tips and perhaps a case study to help them along. And beyond that, what we are looking at is creating an automatically creating a task for the user who we have assigned to this particular record to onboard them. So as we were saying, this record is right now in the onboarding stage. Now, if neither of these emails that we have sent to the customer through Command Center have been opened, let's say the record should move to a dormant onboarding stage. When it reaches this point, there'll probably be a bunch of manual follow-ups, internal email notifications to a different DRI, and a follow-up email later on. But we also have configured another path over here, another transition for those leads that do in fact engage with us through that email, because that way there is a higher possibility of conversion and the nurturing process ends here. So they directly move here. So when a record enters this journey, what we are seeing here is these different branches that they take. And by continuously defining branches like this, what can happen next, what needs to be done, and by whom, we can automate the entire customer journey end to end. So when a record enters this journey, their next action is automated, and the next step that the user needs to perform as well is automatically created through the system. And the record keeps moving through its own path. From the point of view of your users, the records that they work with will have a clean display of the stage that they are currently at, and it will also define what is potentially coming for the record, the possible paths that it's going to take. When Abhi gets into the demo, he'll talk about different action types as well and how this entire customer journey can be built. So all automation features generally operate in a when this happens, perform a particular action for these kind of records template. In Journey Builder, we are linking actions between each stage and extending it all the way until the end. So, at every stage in Command Center, the when this happens part is triggered by signals. And these signals that trigger the when of the automation, that is probably what makes Command Center so powerful. Signals not only cover user or employee actions that are updated in the system, like a record being created or edited a certain way, but it also covers customer interactions directly with the CRM system, such as a customer opening or not opening an email or them not attending a call that was made to them. And because Command Center works across Zoho, the signals aren't limited to interactions through CRM. And this is what helps you configure the entire customer journey here. Signals are based on customer interactions through other Zoho apps too. For example, in our onboarding stage, the customer attending the onboarding webinar can be used as a trigger for the next action to the customer because it is considered a predefined signal within the system itself. Beyond this, if you maintain your customer communication through other apps, third-party triggers can be custom configured too. This is a view of a lot of the signals that are supported in Command Center, but Abhi will show this when he's setting it up. So, Command Center is an end-to-end automation tool in CRM, and again, it's built around the customer journey. Early on in your Zoho journey, as admins, we often set up CRM in chunks. One for lead management, another for onboarding, another for renewals, and so on. And each of these works, but by the time you set up your entire system, they are still a little bit disjointed, which is fine at the beginning of your setup journey, because it might not actually be very practical for you to build an extensive customer journey flow right at the beginning. But now that as an admin, you have a larger picture of your business process and your customer journey that stretches across multiple roles and job functions. Command Center is definitely an automation feature that an automation and journey mapping feature that you could explore. And if you're still confused about the different features, the automation features in CRM, and whether Command Center is the most relevant automation tool for you to use, let's just go over it for a bit. Now, if your automation requirement is singular or independent in nature, automating emails, which is again standalone and independent of the preceding or the following stages that the record is in, then it's straightforward. Workflow is probably the best solution for that automation requirement. If you have a case of sequential follow-ups and your follow-ups are based off calls, emails, and tasks, cadences will probably be the right solution for you to start with. But generally, if you have any large sequential follow-up process, and any sequential follow-up process usually scales and extends to different modes of communication. And it also does mesh at some points with user actions and processes. So that's where Command Center comes in as an automation feature. And beyond this, the customer journey charts that Command Center provides usually gives you some deep insight into what is right and wrong. So when you feel like you're ready to build something at scale, sequential follow-ups, or you just want to see your customer journey at scale, Command Center is going to be the right sequential automation tool that you would want to choose. From Zoho side, to be clear, from Zoho side, we recommend that you set up a journey builder regardless of whether you want your automation done in Command Center or not. You can set up your journey builder without any automation configured in it as well, just to track your customer journey. Because the journey gives you the the customer journey map, and that kind of insight helps you understand your customer behavior at a very real level. Because At the end of the day, no matter how great of a sales manager or in business development that one is, data-based insights is going to pinpoint to things that can't be assumed: anomalies, market trends, customer behavior, organizational inefficiencies, and much more. Let's look quickly at the three charts that CommandCenter's Journey Builder provides and the kind of business value it gives in. Over here, we have the overall record count chart. Like in our earlier SaaS example, suppose we notice a steep drop between the stages of engaged and demo right here. It shows that prospects are showing interest but not taking the next step. It could be because from this, you can decipher that it could be that your trial to paid conversion emails aren't being timed right, or the onboarding call is scheduled too late. This one insight can help you realign the automation triggers that you've set up here and slash or rework on what customer touchpoints are configured overall. The average time taken in each stage chart highlights when some transitions are taking way too long. For example, the onboarding stage taking twice as long can be traced to customers not activating their accounts right after sign up. So here you can time an automatic email to go out with product setup videos, or a check-in email from Journey Builder can be configured, and that would eventually cut the time taken in that stage by half. Our state segregation chart tells us where customers are branching off, who is moving forward, who is stalling, and who is dropping off completely. So you're not just tracking what is happening, but also why. Together, all these three charts gives us the insight we have to manage our customer journey, because it's going to keep evolving and changing, right? Customer journeys always do that. And that's the power of combining automation with customer journey tracking through Journey Builder, of course. It closes the gap between process management and your actual customer experience. So now that we understand what Journey Builder does for your business, Abhi will walk us through how it can be set up end to end.
As Sushmita was saying, just to give a recap on what CommandCenter is. Basically, CommandCenter is a state machine principle feature that we have within CRM. So some of the, to understand CommandCenter, let me give you a couple of practical examples. So if you take elevator, a normal elevator in the malls or in the apartments or something. So elevator can have three different states. So one state is going up, the other is going down, or it could be in ideal state. So elevator cannot be in two states at any given time. It cannot be ideal and keep going up, or it cannot be going up as well as going down. So this is one example of state machine. Another example that we can talk about is traffic signals that you see in your day-to-day life. So a traffic signal could be either in red light or a green light or a yellow light, but it cannot be in two lights or two signals at the same time. Now, so this is what state machine is. So state machine is nothing but a particular stage where your customers are, it's kind of like a portioning where your customers are at any given time. So in the elevator example, clicking on the floor you want to go to. So that is what signals are. So you are asking the system to do something for you. So that is what the signal is. And the action is you going up to the elevator to the desired floor, and the doors opening for you to coming out, or the fan in the elevator turning on. So those are the things that could be treated as actions. I'm trying to correlate a practical example to how you can set up a state machine so that it will be easy to understand the concept. So likewise, in a traffic light example, clicking on pedestrian walkway, enabling the pedestrian walkway by certain bystanders would be the signal that you're invoking to go to the next part. So this is how a state machine works, right? Like you have multiple features. So for that, you are setting up, giving certain signals for you to perform certain actions at that time. Some of the features that are already in CRM that are running with state machine are approval process, review process, blueprint, etc. So you're already aware of state machine features, but we haven't marketed or we haven't revealed like how they work. So one example for approval process is like in an approval process, a record could either be in approved state, or it could be in rejected state, or it could be waiting for approval. It cannot be in both approved and rejected state at any given time. So that is what state machine is. Likewise, if you take a blueprint, you are using the pick list values to move the record, but still the record would be at one stage at any given time. It cannot be in two different stages. So this is what state machine is. So this principle was used to build a couple of features. So Command Center is actually houses two features. One is the Journey Builder and the other one is Pathfinder. So Journey Builder is something like you already know the process your customers are gonna go through, and you already have pre-mapped how your customers are going through your sales cycle. Then Journey Builder would be the right place. So here, this image actually portrays business process that you might have for your business. So this is one of the business process that we are taking as a flowchart. So any business process that you take, you can convert that as a flowchart, right? So that particular flowchart, so if you take this one, to accommodate the functionality that you have drawn in your business process, that is the flowchart here, you might have been using multiple features in CRM. So some of the point features that you might be using to achieve your business process would be workflows, where you want to send out a single email or perform a field update. So field update could be done when an email is replied back, or you might want to create a task for your sales team to follow up. So these kind of single action oriented things can be achieved through workflow. At one point of time, you might be using cadences to set up drip campaign or do certain other types of campaigns to convert your cold leads to warm or hot leads, right? So there is one, this is the next set of feature that you might be using. Then later on, you might be using blueprint to validate certain data before you convert them to a contact or a deal. So there you might be again setting up some sort of workflows to send follow up to your customers. So once the deal is closed, you might set up another workflow to send out email, or you might be setting up a custom function in workflow to send the data from your CRM to Zoho Books to create a code or to create an invoice directly. So basically you have one single cycle, one single business flow for which you might be using multiple different features to accommodate that particular case. So here, this is the entire business flow that I am converting that as a journey. So this is what you saw earlier as well. So this journey is actually gets created from that workflow. From that flowchart. So here, certain stages you might be using workflow. In certain stages, you might be using cadences. So what I'm trying to say here is you can actually combine a different set of features into one single journey, provided all those data are residing within Zoho ecosystem for easier conversion. So so this is one example. So let's see how Journey Builder works. Before that, I will also explain what Pathfinder is, which is the other part of Command Center. So Pathfinder is a journey discovery tool. So as I was explaining for Journey Builder, if you already know the path, or if you already have mapped out how your customers are going to travel in your sales cycle, then Journey Builder would be the feature. If you want to discover, say you are new to the market, or you're new to the business, or you actually want to cross verify your already mapped journey with something else to validate your existing journey, then Pathfinder will help you with that. So basically, Pathfinder will identify the paths that are taken by your customers at any given time, and if some paths you might have treated as low priority for your business might have actually been giving a higher traction rate. Some paths you might not be aware of would have been created by a customer. So these kind of discovery can be achieved. Discovery can be made visible using Pathfinder. We will go a little deeper into Pathfinder once I complete my demo with Journey Builder. So coming back to Journey Builder. So let's quickly start by creating a new journey, and we will see how it works. So Journey Builder is actually has multiple functionalities, and it also has different elements that are needed to achieve in creating a single journey. So some of the elements that we need for Journey Builder are stages. So stages are nothing but states in your journey. So if you take that elevator example, staying ideal is one state, going up is another stage, and going down is another stage. So three stages are there in elevator. So similar to that example, if you take your business process, so in this flowchart, if you have a look at it, so all these are stages in your journey. Inbound lead is one stage, cold outreach is another stage. So this cold outreach can be converted to a warm based on once you set up a cadence, right? So those things can be achieved in command center. So stages are nothing but the milestone in your sales cycle, or not just sales cycle, to your entire customer life cycle. So one thing about journey builder is you are able to set up actions right from lead nurturing, which is from your marketing side, to lead conversion, which is done in your sales cycle, and beyond that, creating deals, going for invoices, and post sales follow up using survey or desk or support channels. So this is the entire life cycle of your customer. So this entire life cycle of your customer can be configured and make you can also do contextual actions on top of that. So here the stages are, so I have already explained what stages are. So for that stage, in order for the records to reach that stage, we have something called transition. So this line is what we call as transition. So transition is nothing but it houses multiple signals through which your customers can interact to your through which the customers are actually moving to stage. So here the signal could be either a lead create or record update or an email sent, or if a task is getting created or if a task is getting updated, or it could be direct signals from your customers itself. That is going to be your emails, calls, etc. If you have integrated your Zoho CRM with other Zoho applications such as Survey, Backstage, Webinar, so those signals can also be accommodated into the Journey Builder. So how this helps us, you have one business process. To solve that business, you would need to have multiple features. And for different features, different products exist. And no single product actually solves every single requirement of a business, right? Such as if you take CRM, it helps to accommodate your sales cycle. It helps to maintain the data of your customers. Data as in their contact information, deal information. It gives you a center. It is the centralized place where you get all the information. The desk, on the other hand, Zoho Desk, it helps you to manage the customer queries, the support side of your business. If you take survey, it helps you with getting the pulse of your customers, like you sending out survey to get the feedback from them, etc. On the accounting side, you would be using Zoho Finance applications such as Zoho Books. For inventory management, you might be using Zoho Inventory. We do have basic functionalities in CRM, but if you want the extended version of it, then you have to go with separate products. So what if, so already your customers' data is spread across multiple apps. What if you want to track and set up actions based on your journey, based on your customer's journey across different Zoho applications? That is where the signals come into play. So our goal is to extend the signal support to support all these Zoho applications in the future. So currently we have 10 plus app signals that are readily available. And if if we are not supporting certain signal, or if you want to track the signal from your third party applications or even your website, then we have something called custom signal. So custom signal is something like so let me just quickly create a custom signal. So let's assume that I'm creating a signal name sign up. So you have a website built through GoDaddy or some other website, and if you want to track the visitors that are coming into your website, and if you want to have their data created or their data populated to CRM, then you can do so. So you can do that like as follows. So I am having a sign up 12 as my signal, and the data that I want to send from my web page to my CRM would be their email address. So I will be creating them as parameters here. And if I want to, if you know their country information, then you can get that country information. Whatever information you can fetch from your signups, you can do so. So if the signup has a form and you want to bring that information, then you can very well do that. So once a custom signal is getting created, I also create a CRM signal for our demo purposes. So let's say whenever a lead gets created, I want those leads to come into my stage. So here it would be qualified leads or something similar. So the stages are, so in this particular stage, I'm configuring a transition. So the transition has two different signals. So the one signal is a custom signal. So basically I want to bring the data from my website, and another signal is to bring the data from my, whenever a lead gets created, I want those lead information to come into this particular stage. So that is what you are doing. So one transition can have multiple signals. So we currently support 5 signals on for each transition, and the stages here are not module bounded. That means you can bring the data from different modules or even different applications. So the custom signal is one example of bringing data from a different application. And if you want to bring the data from different modules, you can do it. So when one use case for this is, if you want to track if your business is tracking leads across different modules. One example would be, if you are getting leads from your workshops, then you might be having a separate module to track that. If your leads are coming through web form submission or through some websites, and if you want to track them under a different module, so that you don't want to pollute the leads across within the same module, then your business scenario might have involved with different modules. But if you want to send a welcome email for all those modules from the single stage, right? Like, even if the leads are spread across different modules, the initial step whenever a lead comes into your system would be sending out a welcome email. So you can do that. So I have already created one record create for leads. Similarly, I can create another record creator for another module. Say some onboarding would be my custom module. So I'm going to configure onboarding. So the advantage here is you're actually bringing the data of different modules to a single stage, and you can set up actions. So actions is my next core part of the journey. So stages are my first core part, then the signals. So stages are basically you're defining what what milestone that particular customer is reaching in your business process. Signals are like the actions that are to be performed by your customers in order for them to reach here. And finally, we have actions. So they perform some action like signing up to your website, or they have made an inquiry for your business. What you want to do with them. So that is what you are going to set up in the actions. So actions, we have 3 different types of actions: instant, scheduled, and recurring. Instant, as the name suggests, is nothing but you are performing actions immediately when the records enter the stage. So it could be sending out an email, or it could be adding a tag. So like if customers are coming through word of mouth, and if you want to add tags to it, or if your like leads are getting created through form submission, if you want to track them or segregate them in your module, then you can do so. Or if you want to perform a basic welcome email to be sent to your customers, then you can set up an email notification like welcome email to be sent to them. You can simply configure that. So once done, the email will be sent to them whenever a record reaches this particular stage. So similarly, we have something called scheduled action. So scheduled action is nothing but you are giving a break or pause before you set up an action. Say, for example, whenever a leads are qualified, you don't want to send an email immediately, but rather after one day. So within that one day, you might be gathering some information and feed it to your record so that you are sending a more meaningful emails to them. Or after, if the leads are staying in this particular stage for one day, then you might want to make a field update to make it as, hey, this is a priority rate that is not yet touched. So these kind of things can be configured. So basically anything related to scheduling to your records, then you can do using scheduled action. So in scheduled action, we have 3 types of durations: days, hours, and minutes. So through which you can configure them. And finally, we have something called recurring action. So recurring action, you could solve in CRM using your schedules feature. I'm sure many of you are aware of schedules feature. So schedules are the only automation feature that we have in CRM that work without a trigger. So trigger there is like they happen on a timely manner. So you want to run a custom function for every 15 minutes or 1 hour or 1 day, then you would be using scheduled action. So sorry, you would be setting up a schedule, and based on the custom function, you might be triggering a follow-ups, a series of workflows to achieve it. But here in state machine or in the journey builder, you can configure a recurring action here so that these actions will keep on performing until the records are going to the next stage. So one advantage of state machine or the journey builder here is, let's say qualified leads are the first stage and my second stage is they are getting converted to a contact, right? So the qualified leads are generally converted to contact. So here, what I'm setting up here is, so I have an action configured in instant action so that to send out a welcome email. So I'm setting up a scheduled action here. So after 1 day, I'm updating the field as they haven't moved to the next stage, right? So I'm just giving a field update here. So the update could be any of the fields that you have. So it could be like the lead source is updated, or the state lead status is not yet contacted. So if they are contacted, then only they are actually going through. So you can set them up like contact in future or something. Like for 1 day, if the record is not moving, then you're giving an update so that the records, you are notifying the system about some change to the system, some change to the record. So what happens here is, the advantage of state machine here is, let's say you're setting up some actions in scheduled action and some actions in recurring action. Let's say you're setting up a webbook to be sent out. You're setting up a task. So one of the use case for having task here is, if you want to keep creating follow-up task for your sales team to follow up a particular record. So if a payment is not yet received from your customer for a particular invoice, and if you want your salesperson to follow up, then you can set up a task so that one of the tasks on a daily basis, so the task will be created on a daily basis for your salesperson to follow up with that particular customer. I'm just giving a sample task here to just explain the use case behind the recurring action and how it works. So here, I have one action created for scheduled and another action for recurring. So these two actions will, scheduled action will run once after a particular time, that is 1 day after. So if the records are actually moving to the next stage before 1 day, so this action will not happen. So that means you are actually giving contextual and real-time update to your customer, rather than rather than your system is catching up to your customer's action. So let's imagine your customers are signing up to your product and they have made the purchase itself. Then you don't want to send them a email to explore the product, right? Because they have already made the purchase. Then if you're sending out explore our product email, so basically your system is catching up to what your customers have done. Then it creates a negative experience with your customer, because the customer will feel like, I've already made the purchase, then why am I receiving an email to explore the product? That means their system is outdated. But with the state machine concept feature, we won't send the email if your customers are not actually in that stage. So the scheduled action will not run if the records are moving to the next stage within that time period. Similarly, the recurring action will keep happening until the customers are moving to the next stage. If they are moved to the next stage, so then the recurring action will stop for that particular record. So in the follow-up example, you might even set up a follow-up email to be sent out on a regular basis. Like, hey, you have an overdue reminder. So if you have made a purchase on EMI, or if you have borrowed some money from the bank, and if you haven't repaid back, you might be getting reminder emails stating that, hey, your amount is still pending to be paid, etc. But even if you have made the payment, you would continue to get reminders for certain period, simply having a message added that ignore if it is already paid. But that part can actually be solved if you are using Command Center's Journey Builder, because the reminder email will keep happening, and if the record is moving to the next stage, then the reminder email will not be triggered. That means your system is actually catching up with your customer's action. So the communication that you do with your customers are relevant and more meaningful. It increases the brand's positivity to them. And since you are actually doing contextual actions to your customers at more meaningful time, the rate of success for conversion or the rate of them coming back to you would be even more, because you are actually doing something relevant to your customers. And this is done on customer specific and not on generic audience. That means some customers might be getting reminder email while the others would not get the reminder email because they are already beyond that particular stage. Another example would be, if you have a e-commerce website or something and your customers are making a purchase. The biggest problem with any e-commerce site is the customers would add the items to the cart, but they might not have made the purchase, right? So the drop at the shopping cart is the highest during your e-commerce journey. So you can set up a nudge, like whenever the customers are at the cart, you can some customers would be at the cart and some would have already made the purchase. So you can set up a discount to be given only to the customers who have added the item to the cart but have not went through with their payment. So that discount might not apply for all the other customers. So effectively, you are compromising a little bit in your profit, but to increase your revenue. So in this way, the discount is not applicable for the entire visitors, but only to the certain customers. So basically, you are able to target a certain segment of your customers to set up certain actions. So for this, we have something, for this also, we have some functionality. So let me explain that part. So in qualified leads, as we were doing earlier, in qualified leads, we have two different model data. So one is leads, the other one is onboarding. So what if you want to set up emails to leads in one way? So that is what I have done. What if you want to set up another set of email for your onboarding? So here you can create another action group for onboarding module. So what we actually do is the emails or whatever actions you set up, they are actually module specific. So the stage houses the records from multiple modules, but the actions themselves will be run on based on what module they are at. So effectively, you are dictating the system. You have the full freedom to set up what needs to be done whenever a record reaches a particular stage and what needs to be done on that particular module. And the advantage of the journey, another advantage with these setup creating actions here are, you have the option to use merge fields, right? So the merge fields can be used to get the information from your signals itself. So the actions are more dynamic and you are able to set up all those information to your feed it to the system. So what I have given here is, so I have used the custom signals data, which we created earlier for the sign up. So basically with this, you are able to bring the website's information into your CRM without any actual integration in place. So you have the leverage to, you can see this as an indirect integration between your CRM and your website. So using custom signal, you can bring that information as well. So the every sign up that happened to your system or every page that are visited by your registered customers, so those information can be brought along into your CRM system in this way. So this information can be very useful if you are trying to, I'm just giving some name here just for the demo purpose. So once this is done, you are able to, so once this is done, you are able to set up uh, more meaningful once you have set up this action. So what we are doing here is the actions are run. As you can see here, we have two different groups. The first group will run for the leads module record. The second group is for the records that come under onboarding. So whenever a lead record comes into this particular stage, only the lead record actions will take place. Now, what if you have a signal created for a different module? let's say you are creating it for deals or vendors or something. So I have three different modules in play for qualified lead, but my actions are only for leads and onboarding. Here, my actions from my leads module will take place. Then the records that come through deals module, they don't have any action. That means no actions will take place. So this way, you are actually directing the system to do what on which records or which module records. And there is one other advantage of having action group here. So that is what we have something called run for specific transition. So I will walk you through that part now. So let's say I have three incoming transitions. So qualified lead, so lead contact. Ideally, it would be other way around. That's just for the sake of demo. I'll just go with this flow. So contact creator. So sometimes my uh, some of my leads might skip this qualifying stage because they might be someone I know or they are coming through word of mouth. So they generally will get their contact will generally get created directly, right? So for that flow, I'm creating one. So here I will create for contact create, then create contact transition, then I will move one for re-qualify. So this is another one. So okay, so I will just create some signals just to show you how specific transition works and how it helps with your customer journey. So I'm just giving some random signal just to fill up the transitions, because only if we have created a transition we'll be able to see that part. So just give me a few seconds here and I'll be done with the creation. Okay, so now if I'm trying to set up an action here, contact created, so I basically have four different incoming transitions, right? So incoming transition is nothing but what are the transitions that are coming into my contact create. So the stage 5 is basically my outgoing transition for stage 5 stage. So I have here state transition 4, 5, sorry, 3, 4, 5, and create contact as 4 incoming transitions for the stage contact created. Now, when I create an action group, there is something called run for specific transition. So earlier I explained how the action groups can be created for module specific, so that you have the leverage to target records of a particular module so that the actions are run for those modules. Now, what if you want to run actions for certain transitions? So the best example here is I have one path for the contacts that are pre-qualified, and I have another path where the contacts are actually getting created directly. It could be for some reason. Now, I want to set up an action for the contacts that come from qualified. Like, hey, in real time use case, it would be like if the leads are getting qualified and then getting contacted means you have already done some intermediary communication. That means you would be sending out an email, or you might be setting up task for the sales team who are already aware of those leads, right? Or if a lead is getting created directly, that means they are yet to be assigned to a particular salesperson. That means the action has to be created based on what path the customers took, right? So that is what run for specific transition helps you. So if you set up action for transition 3, that means only the records that came from this path, contact pre-qualified, and then they are getting created as contact, only for those contact you are actually setting up an action. So this way, not only you are segregating the records based on modules, but you are actually segregating the records based on what path they took. Not just that, you already also have the record condition. So in what path and what record field data they have. So using that also, you can filter the records. So basically, we are giving you complete control on how to target your records and in what way. So the target could be based on the modules, under modules on what path they took, and under that, what type of data they have in each record. So this way, you can slice and dice the records. Like you can, in a minuscule way, you would be able to pinpoint records, and for those records, you can set up actions. So this way, it's even going to be more contextual for your customers, so that they will understand why they receive certain communication and why you are setting up certain actions for your salesperson to take place. So that is all about configuration with regards to journey. Just to summarize, the stages are the milestone process, transitions are the signals, like what your customer should do to reach that particular milestone, and actions are once they reach that milestone, what you want to do to those customers. So these are the things that you have in the journey builder. So some of you might be having a doubt, like how are we linking the customer across different modules? Like since because all the stages are moduleless and the records are traveling across different modules, how are we doing that? So for that, we have a concept called identifiers. So identifiers are nothing but unique information about your customers. So one example is email ID, the phone number. If you are from the US, social security number is a unique identification for you. And if you are from every country issues a passport, and passport number are unique to that particular person. So passport number is going to be one of the identifying value. It's just high level explanation. But in most of the businesses, you might have auto generating number, or you might have your own customer ID to track them. One example is insurance companies follow your insurance ID number, or if you have in the driving license number would be your identification number. In Zoho, we use something called Zoho user ID, ZU ID. So if you have raised some support tickets, then our support team would have asked for your ZU ID. So ZU ID is the Zoho's user ID through which we identify you, not with your email address for PIA privacy concerns. So just like that, if you will have a unique identifying data for your customers. So in general, it would be the phone number, mobile number, or the email address. So during the sign up, or during the when they enter as a lead, you would be having the email ID to track your customers, and along the process, you might be keep adding their unique identifying data. So during my lead qualification, I might be having their email ID as their unique identifying value. But once the qualification is done, and when they are getting created as a contact, I might be having their contact call information, like their phone number, or along with the email ID, I might have their phone number. So I will add their phone number as identifying data. So what happens is during their third stage, we actually look at the email ID that you have given here, and the contact number that you have given here, whether their values are getting matched in the follow-up stage. So rather than having lookup to define the relationship between two different modules, we are actually using the value in the respective records against all the records that are in the follow-up module to link the customer across different modules. I will just quickly play a video that explains how the identifier works. So here it goes. Yeah. So as you saw here, so actually what happens here is during my first stage, my phone number is treated as my unique identifying data. During my second stage, rather than the phone number, along with that phone number, I would be using the email that is listed here as my secondary identifying data. And in the third stage, as you see here, based on that data, I have some, let's assume this number as auto generation number. So that information is taken into the play, and I'm treating that as my identifying information to link the same customer across different stages. So this is what identifier is. So it's a very cool concept to actually link the data, actually link your customer's data across different modules. So once these are done, and when you hit publish, your journey will start tracking. So for the flow chart that I showed you earlier, we have this particular journey, which is from where this is where we took that particular report, and not just the report, the screenshot. So this flow chart that you see here is what this particular journey is. So that, yeah, here it is. So this journey is what we have done, created as a screenshot. So we have made a lot of improvements to the builder for easier managing your journey, along with a visual cues to represent where each of the stages are. As the image represents, these are success stage and these are failure stage. So this is all about journey builder. And we have, once those data are fed, everything that we saw until now are how the records, how the journey is configured, and how the actions are coming into play. So once they are set up, we have default reports where you can actually see how the journey is performing. So here you can see the total number of records in each stage and how much time took in each stage. So this will help give you understanding how what stage took how much time. And finally, we have a report, like a mapped report, where you can actually see how many records came via each transition and how many records are currently in each stage. So this will help you with figuring out, it might give you a way, it will help you forecast how many records are going to go in the next few days or few months to the following stages. So this will also help you with getting an idea on your sales pipeline as well. And once they are created, so there is something called command center module in as a system defined module in your module list. So in command center, so in this module, every customer who are taking part in your journey are actually listed down here. So if you go to, we have both the Pathfinder journey. So I will give an explanation of Pathfinder in a bit. So under journey, so we'll just go to any customer journey that traveled. So as you can see here, we have some basic information like when they started the journey, where they're at, and we also have the feeds to list everything that happened to the customer. And one major advantage of this module is, as I mentioned earlier, your customer's journey is across different modules. So in each module, whatever the record got involved in that journey will be listed down here. So you have the leverage to look at all the record information, like the related records of your customer from a single source, so from a single place. So when you go to that particular record, so you have the option of all these records are deep linked. So from single place, you actually have the access to view all the relevant records of a customer. So it gives you a way to check, okay, these are the records that took part. So one example is, for a single customer, you might have created multiple deals. For each deal, you might have created multiple invoices, codes, then estimates, probably some custom module records. So all those information can be seen right from here, as long as they are part of that particular journey. So this is all about journey builder, and let's finally go for what Pathfinder is. So Pathfinder is, as I mentioned, it is a journey discovery tool, but the only difference between Pathfinder and Journey is we do not have predefined transitions. So Pathfinder, you would simply create stages in the Pathfinder, and for each stage, you would be declaring the touch points. So the touch points are nothing but the triggers that you actually created in the journey builder. And once the stages are given, once the touch points are given, we start tracking them. As you can see here, these are all the stages that I have created, and there are no transitions linking between them. So any stage could be your initial stage, and any stage could be your end stage. So this will help you analyze how your customers actually travel through your system. And we do not have any action oriented in Pathfinder. That means no system data is touched, and Pathfinder will help you identify the paths taken. So once one Pathfinder is up and running, you have 3 different reports. So this path report, where you are actually seeing individual path taken. So these are unique paths taken by the customer and how many customers took part in that path. So even if one customer took a unique path, we will track that down for you. So this way, you can actually compare your actual business process with the Pathfinder to see if all the records are coming in the sales pipeline as you wished. If there is any deviation, then you can take action. And we also have a cumulative report where all these data are accumulated to give you a Sankey view. So Sankey view is kind of like your sales pipeline where you can see how your records have traveled. So from the start stage, n number of records. So 3 records actually moved to convert. From there, certain records got converted to further down the pipeline. So this is one report. And finally, we have journey report where you are actually seeing the actual journey and the total records that are in play. So this journey report will help you identify the process, the flow in which the records move through. So you can use this to create journey builder or again compare with your existing journey. So that is all about command center configuration, how to set up and what insights you get out of it and the benefits of command center. And I also would like to reiterate one thing, that no feature is on top of another feature in Zoho. Each feature is built in mind, keeping some problem in our mind. So some overlap might be there between couple of features, but all the features are built for certain use case and certain problems. So our goal with these webinars and resources and educational materials to educate our customers to use the features so that they get the every benefit out of every feature that are available to them. All right. Thank you so much for everyone. And we haven't received any further questions, so we will wind up. And thank you again.